Hey, today we're making beef stroganoff. This is a little twist on how my family made it growing up. Instead of cream of mushroom soup, I'm going to kind of make my own gravy. So what you're going to need is a couple tablespoons of butter, a couple tablespoons of flour. You can use cornstarch, arrowroot powder, whatever thickener you use if you're gluten-free. Onion, I have here just dried chopped onion. I don't have any fresh at the moment. Mushrooms, any kind of mushrooms. I just have some white mushrooms that I cut up here, and you can use canned, cremini, whatever, portobellos, whatever you want. Pound hamburger, and then garlic. I just have this chopped garlic here I got at the store. You can cut up fresh garlic too if you want. Whatever. Salt and pepper to taste. Then you need a large skillet. This is my trusty cast iron. And then a pot of water if you're going to use the noodles. A little salt in there if you want for flavor. And that's it. We'll get started. So, we start by browning the meat here. Cook it down until it gets cooked, no longer pink. Kind of how you make anything else with ground beef, really. And then while that's starting, I usually get my water going, turn it on, get it to boiling, because it seems like it takes forever, although this time it doesn't seem like it's taking so long. I have that ready for the noodles. Once it's to about this stage, kind of half cooked, half not cooked yet, I usually add the mushrooms. I really like those to get kind of soft as well, because they break down and they absorb a lot of the flavor. So. And I will drain this too, after everything's cooked. Extra fat and stuff like that, I'll drain that out. But just keep cooking, and then, if you have fresh onion at that point, you can add this. I'm going to wait a little bit and add the dried onion here after a little bit. Just a couple, like a tablespoon or so. At this point, when the pink is pretty much gone, add about a tablespoon or so of garlic, a couple cloves. I don't know, we really like garlic, so sometimes I'll throw a little extra in there. You can use garlic powder if you want, or leave it out if you're not a garlic fan, but we really like garlic in this house, so just add that and mix it around, because you don't want it to burn. That's why you don't add it too early. Just enough for the flavors to kind of come out, and oh, it smells so good. Okay, when the meat is cooked, this is the point where I add the butter. Now, if you're using cornstarch or arrowroot powder, you don't need to use the butter. When you use flour, you're going to need some equal parts fat and flour to kind of make a roux, to thicken the gravy. That's kind of the point of this. So, this is the way I do it. There's other ways. I mean, you can make the gravy separate, but I just like to do everything in one pan if possible. So, just easier that way. So I just melt the butter in here, kind of incorporate it all into there, because the mushrooms kind of soak up a lot of stuff too, so that's why I usually add the extra, but I didn't have to drain too much off this hamburger either. It's pretty lean. So, but anyway, yeah, melt the butter, mix it in, make sure it's good and melted. And then once that's kind of all sort of incorporated there, that's when I will sprinkle the flour evenly over everything. And then mix it up. And I cook it for a couple minutes just to kind of make sure all the flour's incorporated, everything's kind of cooked a little bit together, so it's not like, it doesn't get lumpy or anything weird like that. Or you don't have, chunks of flour in your food later. That's never tasty. I mean, unless that's your thing, that's cool, but yeah. So anyway, just mix that up nice and good and let it cook for a couple minutes, and I'll be back. Alright, once it's kind of cooked a while, you add the broth or stock of your choice. About a cup and a half to 2 cups. It really just depends on your personal taste. You know, I like mine on the thicker side, so I use a little less broth. Just depends, because as it cooks, it'll thicken. The nice thing too, if it gets too thick, you can always thin it out with broth or, you know, a little water if you don't have enough broth, and that would be just fine. And then this point too, I forgot, I usually season it way before this, but make sure you add salt and pepper. You're gonna have boring food. I'm a little distracted by the filming and stuff, but I'll add the salt and pepper, and then you basically let this simmer. It'll thicken, and then we'll move on to the next step. So then you let it come to a simmer, a little boil, and then you simmer it for, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. Turn this down a little bit. You know, between 5 and 10 minutes until it thickens. You know, you'll know it, you know, gets like a nice gravy consistency. It's not going to be super thick, but like I said, if it gets really thick, you can thin it out. Or if you think, hey, gee, this isn't really gonna be thick enough, I don't think, for a gravy, or too thin or something like that. If you have, you know, cornstarch or arrowroot powder on hand, you can make what's called a slurry. Just a tablespoon of either of that, and a tablespoon of the powder, and just like a splash of cold water. Mix that up like with a fork, or you know, beat it really fine, and then pour over and then stir it in, and that should thicken it up too. So we'll be back when it's ready for the next step. One ingredient I forgot that we're going to use is sour cream. About a cup. I use about half of one of these containers, half to a quarter, 3/4, you know, depending. And that's a part of the flavor element that gives it kind of a nice tang to it. So that's that. Alright, once it gets kind of thick, add the sour cream. Now I'd say I would just add a cup of broth, because that's what turned out to be. A cup and a half was too much for this, but I ended up having to thicken it a little bit, which was fine. And the sour cream will help too, thicken it a little bit. So just kind of incorporate that, stir it around, you know, and just kind of evenly mix it up. I guess you don't have to do this. You don't have to put the sour cream in there, but I think it just adds a nice flavor, kind of a little bit of a bite to it, I guess. I've never made like whatever traditional stroganoff is. I have no clue, honestly. It'd be interesting to see. You know, I should look that up here one of these days. But this is kind of how we made growing up. Like I said, we use cream and mushroom soup, but I'm trying to stay away from all those processed things and eat a little bit healthier. You know, once in a while, comfort food is called for, and this is one of those things. So, yeah. So, you mix that in there, and then you kind of let it simmer for a little bit longer, get those flavors all mixed in, and then usually this is the point where I start the noodles. So I'll get the noodles going in there here. All right, water is boiling. Drop these babies in. A spoon. Give it a stir. I don't want them to stick. And you just kind of cook them however the package directions said. I think usually around 7 to 10 minutes, somewhere in there. Whatever you're using, cook those accordingly. Bring them back up to a boil and set the timer. Noodles! Whoops, getting foggy. And there it is. All finished. Got your peas. Gotta have your vegetables, everybody. Eat your vegetables. And then just serve it over the egg noodles like that, and whatever veggie you want. It's good to go. Alright, thumbs up. Hope you guys enjoyed.